It is almost the most wonderful time of the year. That's right, Christmas is nearly upon us, and I am sending out Christmas cards. That's right, for all of my Category 3 channel members, I will be sending them a Christmas card. If you are in North America, it will be a physical hand-signed card from me. If you are outside of North America, it will be a digital card. I thought it would be a nice way to express the gratitude and thanks that I have for the folks that have gone the extra mile in supporting my journey here on YouTube. And it's not too late for you to do so. So if you hit that join button down below, join at the Category 3 member level, you too can receive a Christmas card from KaijuCanuck. But enough about that. Let's talk about this. And here we have the packaging for Godzilla Evolved. Right off the bat, you can see lots of blues, purples, neon pinks. Looks really punchy, lots of color, which is really nice to see. Not too dissimilar from the very first two releases that we got from this film. Here on the back, we get the solicitation images that we saw when the figure was first put up for pre-order. There's the side, bottom, other side, top. And I think that's pretty much it for the packaging, so let's get them open and take a look. And here we have Godzilla opened up and out of the packaging. Now before we get into this figure itself, I did want to share some initial thoughts I had around the design of Godzilla Evolved, just because those thoughts do sort of seep into the impression that you have of the figure. When this was first shown off, this design, that first teaser trailer, I had really mixed feelings on it. To me, it looked a little bit over-designed, like it went a little bit too much, felt a little bit more like an edgy fan recreation than an official legendary design. But with time and with more promo, more videos, we got to see some more shots of it. Not to say that it grew on me, but I was kind of like, okay, I'm at least open to seeing what this guy looks like on screen. And while I do hope to see Godzilla revert a little bit more toward his original form in the Monsterverse, I do think that this is an interesting design, and I do like it. So with that being said, let's actually take a closer look at Godzilla here. Let's start here at the top of the figure. So there is the face. The teeth and gum blending actually looks really nice on this side. It's a little bit pink on this side, a little bit like he's eating some strawberry ice cream, but overall I was actually pleasantly surprised with how well this came out. I don't know how well this is going to come across on camera, but the eyes are looking pretty good. There is some scattered pink here throughout the neck. In terms of movement, this is one area where the first release from the film, I think, overshadows this one, its ability to look up, but in that case, that sculpt is broken up a lot more. Here, it's rather seamless, especially compared to the other one, but in order to get that, you do not get a whole lot of upward movement. In terms of moving side to side, he can do about that much. Jaw opens about that far, and closes about that much. The blending on the chest here, I know out of San Diego Comic-Con 2024 there were some concerns around the paint blending around the chest. I will say that, like, when you look at it from an angle and in more natural light as opposed to the amount of light I'm blasting it with here, it does look better than what we saw at San Diego Comic-Con. The upper chest area is on a ball joint, so you can move around like that. And then the abdomen also has a ball joint, so you can move around like that. Arms, pretty standard, what you would expect from a figure like this. Very similar to that very first Godzilla. Legs, you can get them splayed out about that far. The floating parts might pop out a little bit if you overextend it, but you can pretty easily get him to look seamless. In terms of the legs, very, very familiar. He can bend in about that much, and then he can extend that much. There is a floating piece in here that you might need to fiddle with a little bit if you want to hide those gaps. As you make your way down, he's got the double ball jointed ankles as well. The paintwork on the feet, on the claws, you can see like they start off kind of muddy and then they taper off into like a clean black. I think I would have preferred one or the other. Like if it was all muddy and like a bone color, fine. If it was all black, fine. The idea that they start muddy and then turn black throws me off a little bit, so I do wish that was different. Making your way down the tail, you have a lot of flexibility here. Yeah, that's really solid. Now, one thing that's really funny is that in his communications with Tamashii and with Bandai, Michael over at the Articulation series has repeatedly been told that these spines were not going to be translucent. And they've looked translucent in promotional images ever since we first saw the solicitation. He went to San Diego Comic-Con, the one on display did not have transparent spines. He asked them, will the spines be transparent? They said no, and then lo and behold, the figure comes out and he does have translucent spines. There are some areas on the figure where the blending could be a little bit better. You have some splotchy brown yellowish paints, but in a natural lighting setting I don't even notice it really. In terms of accessories, Godzilla comes with these hands attached to the figure right out of the box. These look very similar to the relaxed hands that came with the first figure, and as you can see here, he's got more of his open clasping, grabbing hands. I do prefer to have these hands on the body rather than the relaxed hands, just because I feel like across the whole movie in this form, he was never relaxed until the very end of the film. For $140, more accessories in the box would have been appreciated, although I don't really know what you might have included. But I feel like that budget has gone into the articulation, how this guy moves and how he feels, how he balances. And you can get him into most of the poses that you're going to want, save for anything that really requires him to look up. That's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Here he is next to Godzilla 2024. I get the pre-evolved version, if you will. I actually really like how the blue and pink look next to each other on the shelf. And here you can see in the feet what I mean, like if they had just chosen a consistent paint job rather than switching halfway through, I think that would have looked a lot better. Here he is next to Kong from the first movie, Hiya Toys Kong Skull Island Kong, Energized Godzilla, and the only Beast Glove Kong we have at this time. Here's the Playmate 6-inch. I've just got done taking my photography shots of this guy. He is a lot of fun to pose. He's a lot of fun to move around. He's got a lot of character to him. It's unfortunate he cannot look up, but in other aspects of the design, the way that they've done the engineering here, really solid piece. Very, very happy with the figure. Now let's talk about that price point a little bit. $140 once it's brought over by Bandai. When it was first announced that this was going to be a web exclusive, I don't think any of us were taken by surprise that it ended up being $140. I think the more surprising thing was that it was going to be a web exclusive. And I can see a world where Tamashii intended for this to be a general release, and then they saw the reception to that very first teaser trailer being, I think, the most negative of the MonsterVerse films so far. And maybe they panicked. Maybe they just thought not as many people are going to be as interested in this as we expected. Maybe they themselves looked at a Godzilla with pink spines and said, we don't think that's going to sell as many as a general release. Or maybe they were just greedy. I don't know. I think that that's a low resolution answer myself, but I think it's interesting to think about these things and what it might mean for releases down the line. I think that most sites that you could import this figure from have since run out of stock, but there should be quite a few other places that still have the American distribution listings up for $140. If you have enjoyed the MonsterArts line up to this point, if you enjoy their MonsterVerse offerings, I don't think that you'll go wrong with this one if you can swing the additional cash. The fact that he is almost twice as much as the Godzilla 2024 from earlier this year does sting quite a bit. I would love to say that subsequent repaints and reissues of this mold down the line will be general over, Bandai Premium web exclusives, but I just don't really see it happening. So unfortunately, if you do like what you see here, you're just gonna have to bite the bullet on that additional money. Now, I'm sure the question of the hour is, will this figure be better than the Hiya Exquisite Basic that is coming out at some point? I think it was supposed to be out by the end of this year, but Hiya has gone back to improve the sculpt and articulation, but they haven't really communicated what the plan is. I was able to get this guy into a similar pose of the superhero landing that we saw at the China Toy Expo 2024. Ultimately, I hope that they're both solid releases, and that if you are a MonsterArts fan, that you dig this. I hope that you enjoy it. If you haven't been enjoying SH MonsterArts and you're really hoping that the Hiya pulls through, I hope it pulls through for you too, man. That's going to be it for me, but I'm curious to hear from you. Are you going to be picking up the SH MonsterArts Godzilla Evolved? You going to wait for the Hiya? You skipping both? Are you picking up both? Let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget about that join button if you want to get a Christmas card from KaijuCanuck. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye!